Welcome to a super special episode of Rhythm Encounter, RPG Fans Music Podcast. I'm your host, Marcos Gaspar, Wild Armor on the boards, and today, my dear listeners, we have a special guest with us. He's a Seattle-based composer / arranger with already 2 successful Kickstarter projects under his belt. You might have heard of them, the first being Johto Symphony, an orchestral reimagining of the first Pokemon generation, that's red, blue, and or green, depending on who you are. The second, a collection of Pokemon musical arrangements from throughout the series, which was also a collaborative effort with arranger Eric Buckles, who was with us last time on the Rhythm Encounter for the special Rhythm Encounter episode Hero of Time interview. By the way, that second album's Double Team. Both albums have landed on the Billboard charts and gained international recognition, so, it's a pretty big deal. Today, folks, we have Braxton Burks, a Meister singer of delectable Pokemon arrangements. How you doing, Braxton?
Hey, Marcos. I'm doing great.
Oh, that's good. All right. So, are you really excited about this project?
Unbelievably excited. It's something I've been wanting to tackle for a really long time, the music from Pokémon Gold and Silver. I actually started playing the Pokemon games during the second generation because I couldn't afford a Game Boy when I was a kid. But one of my friends gave me his Game Boy Color later in middle school, and then that's when I started playing Pokemon for the first time. And Gold and Silver just really sucked me in with the characters, the music, and the whole region itself. I kind of imagined it being this super pastoral, pretty region, and then you got to see it, revamped in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So it made it it was already my favorite region, and then the remakes made it that much more awesome. So yeah, I'm incredibly excited.
All right, excellent. And now I'm going to ask this, but I'm pretty sure already our viewers or listeners already know. More or less, 2 questions. 1, why Johto, and why now?
Well, for reasons that you could probably infer from what I just said. Johto being, I'm definitely a second gen fan, so that's probably the number 1 reason why I wanted to tackle orchestrating music from Gold and Silver. But as for the reason why now, it's actually been a project I've been working on over the last maybe 2 or 3 years, but hasn't really come to full fruition just because I was in school for a while. So I had to put a lot of stuff on the back burner, and I was also working part-time, and now I compose and arrange music full-time. So I have time now to follow up my first album, Johto Symphony, which, as you mentioned, was music from Red and Blue, and follow it up with music from Gold and Silver in a natural succession.
See, you hear it here, listeners. There's a method to the madness. He's going in order. Who'd have thought it?
Oh my god.
What? This makes sense? That doesn't make any sense. But
it's like a sequel or something.
A musical sequel, if you will. And like a musical sequel, I'm actually curious, are you going to take the same a liberal arranging with this album that you did with the first Johto Symphony album, where it was a symphonic sketches, or even a little a symphonic program of this beautiful soundtrack? Or is it going to be a little bit more closer to the arrangements, or the original tracks rather?
I would say it's a mix, definitely. I'd say probably closer to what I did for Johto Symphony, which I guess was something people really enjoyed. So why not, do something like that again? And I think the fact that the previous gens relied on such primitive instruments like the original Game Boy Color games for the soundtrack, it makes it that much more flexible when it comes to arranging. The melodies are sort of presented in this simplistic way. And then there's only for the original Game Boy Color sound card, you could only use I think it was 3 voices at once. So you got really beautiful 3-part writing on all Game Boy soundtracks, but it was kind of limited in its instrumentation. So basically what I want to do is take the music and flesh it out, orchestrate it, kind of add a story and a narrative to it and make it more cinematic, like you're listening to a Pokemon movie, almost a Pokemon film score.
Yeah, and I get that from your Kanto Symphony, especially the first track, where it's just this beautiful, soft piece, and I just imagined just someone in their living room, like, going through their bookshelf and, like, Pokemon Red, or the first generation, and taking it and just looking at the picture slowly, or the book, and just, like, reminiscing about it, and then finally diving into the story itself, hearing the music once more, in a more, like, vivid and, like, as you say, like a cinematic sense. And I found that beautiful, and that's what makes me very excited for this Johto album, because I feel like that's what you're gonna do, and I'm super pumped about that.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I really love that track that you mentioned, the Shelf of Memories prelude to Kanto Symphony, and it's Johto Legend is going to be a continuation of that, capturing the essence of playing the Pokemon games for the first time, and kind of bringing out the player's perspective as well as the main character's perspective in their journey to become a Pokemon master. so there's definitely moments of nostalgic wonder and lots of adventure and excitement too.
Yeah, and things like that I really find very attractive. It's very intimate whenever I hear these arrangements from arrangers like you, because I feel like it's not just like me remembering like Pokemon Red or now Pokemon Gold and Silver. I also feel like I'm just getting the intimate moment that you're having with music, and somehow I feel like that adds a little bit like a very special piece to it, and that's kind of like the soul of the arranger in there. So I'm really excited for that too. But you have some pretty incredible talents for the arrangement team. Why don't you talk about this special team you got going here that's going to be helping performing the music?
Sure, yeah. So the Johto Legends Kickstarter, which we're running right now, is to raise funds for 7 live musicians to perform on the album. In the past, we've worked with some Seattle Symphony players on our album Double Team, which was an incredible experience. We got to book a studio downtown Seattle, Studio X, and perform with the string orchestra and piano, and wrote some really fun arrangements that they got to perform. And I sort of wanted to bring in more live elements for my next album, Johto, just after working with those players, and I learned a ton from that. The Kanto Symphony album that I wrote in 2012 was written almost exclusively with orchestral sample libraries, with the exception of a few solos performed by some musicians that I actually met on YouTube, and who also shared this love of Pokemon. And so this time we're kind of upping the ante. So we're kind of doing a combination of what we did for Kanto Symphony and Double Team, and having large orchestral arrangements performed with very realistic, high quality sample libraries, and doubling that with live players to make it even more realistic, and giving them really emotional, intimate solos that I think will resonate with listeners.
And I am just looking forward to that. Like, I love it when you get these not only just like indie artists coming together, but musicians as well who are experienced with this type of music, because they really do like liven up a piece, and it makes it shine.
Absolutely. And it helps that a lot of the players that we're recruiting have actually performed in live symphonic game concerts, like Pokemon Symphonic Evolutions and The Legend of Zelda Symphony of the Goddesses. I also a few of the people that we're working with are Patty Rudisil, who records with the Nashville Scoring Stage. I think that's the name, but they record tons of video game soundtracks, and she's performed on a lot of them. Laura Intravia, who's going to be playing flute on Johto, she also goes by Flute Link. She's performed in video games live productions, and she's also a vocalist. So a lot of multi-talented people. Even Kristen Nagus, who is going to be our double reed player for Johto. She's going to be playing oboe, English horn, and Japanese woodwinds, which is going to be part of the some of the Japanese aesthetic elements that are native to the Johto region, or at least, influence the Johto region's design.
Yeah. And what's really good that some of these people are also experienced as arrangers themselves. One in particular, Laura Intravia, because I've listened to, or not, rather, I reviewed her through Time and Space Chrono Piano album. So these people are actually very talented. So when I say that you're going to be expecting, or rather you're going to be, getting some quality stuff, well, that's for certain. Because the people to and I've noticed this too, because I went to college for music, and I've worked with composers and arrangers before. I just noticed that when you get a musician that's also an arranger, or both the composers, they somehow bring out a sparkle in the music, or they just add an extra element to it. So I think you're going to get that here too. I'm pretty positive, because I've already seen it firsthand, working with both soloists who do an amazing job regardless. But an arranger soloist, that's that's hitting gold. That's
a package deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we I've had the pleasure of working with all of these people before. Laura, Patty, Kristen, they're all super incredibly talented. And it's cool too to get feedback from them on pieces, knowing that they all have really strong theory and arranging skills. And when I sent Laura a few things from Johto for the first time to kind of pitch her on the project and get her on board for playing flute, she complimented me, and I was super flattered. It's oh my god, Laura Intravia likes my music. Oh,
that's so cool.
Yeah, so we all share this camaraderie and mutual respect for each other's music. So it definitely is going to add to the performances, like you mentioned.
Absolutely. And that's great when you're complimenting each other. That's the great, yeah.
Each other on the back, yeah.
That's the frosting on the cake. That's the gravy on the turkey.
The self-congratulatory hoo-ha.
But yeah, but let's actually get into specific more of Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Yeah, sure.
What was some of your favorite tracks from that generation?
A lot. I would say if I hadn't tackled Kanto Symphony first, I definitely would have done Johto first, because I love all of the music from Gold and Silver in a really big way. And while I love the music of Red and Blue as well, I felt like Gold and Silver had a lot more memorable themes for me personally. Maybe that's me wearing nostalgia goggles because they were my first game. So, but specifically, I would say of all the town themes, New Barktown probably was my favorite. I also really, really like the Burn Tower theme, which I'm super excited to show everyone my version on Johto Legends. It's going to play up the kind of dark, mysterious, but also kind of hauntingly beautiful side of the Burn Tower. Since it in Pokemon lore, the Burn Tower was actually I believe the brass tower, and burned down in a terrible accident and used to be quite ornate and beautiful. And so I wanted to capture the tragedy of that place through a cinematic arrangement, which sounds super dramatic for a Pokemon album, but that's the feeling I want to capture, the feeling I had when I played it as an 11-year-old kid, Yeah. So yeah, those are some of my big favorites.
Oh, that's really cool. I can already sense that. I don't want to say your nostalgia glasses, but like that connection you have, like I have with the first. But that's really fascinating, and I'm actually really curious. Are you?
What's your favorite track from Gold and Silver? Or do you have any favorites?
From Gold and Silver, you know what? Funny thing, out of all the Pokemon games, and I played almost all of them, I have not tackled Gold or Silver.
Gasp!
I know. That is the deep dark secret of today's episode, folks. I have not played Gold or Silver yet, but I've played almost all the rest. It's just Emerald, Emerald and Ruby and Sapphire. That I played it a tiny bit, but I'm a little bit more familiar with that game than I am Gold and Silver. But I do know you go back to Kanto in Gold and Silver.
Yeah, there's so much content. You do get to go back to Kanto, which was kind of a fun story. I think some Pokemon fans know this, but I think Game Freak, when they were developing Gold and Silver, ran out of room on the cartridge to add in Kanto. They really wanted to add that element, but their programmers were hitting a wall, and Satoru Iwata, the late president of Nintendo at the time, was one of the lead programmers at Nintendo, and he actually compressed all of the data so that they were able to fit Johto and Kanto into the same game cartridge, which is just incredible and speaks is a huge testament to Iwata's genius.
Yeah.
But yeah, tangent. If you do get back into Gold and Silver, I'd really recommend playing Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because the graphics are a little less dated, and the music is much more transformed, and it's gorgeous. So I really recommend it.
Oh, I'll definitely give it a shot. That's on one of my, I don't want to say bucket lists. It's definitely shorter.
To do.
Yeah, it's on a to-do list, not to do before I die.
Yeah, everyone has tons of games they need to play too, so totally understandable.
And kind of like how each Pokemon, and this is just jump into this, how each Pokemon region is shaped like a certain place. Like, what was it, the latest one, Pokemon Sun and Moon, is tropical islands and such. What's a Pokemon Gold and Silver's region, what they're trying to emulate through their world?
So that's actually an excellent question. And like you said, Game Freak does this cool thing where they take different countries or regions, and they'll, in the real world, and base games off of those regions, bringing elements of the culture into the game design. And for Gold and Silver, they took the Kansai region of Japan, which is located south of the real life Kanto region that Red and Blue is based off of. So it's actually in real life kind of the real life neighbor of the place where Red and Blue is geographically based on. The Kansai region of Japan is home to major cities like Kyoto and Osaka, and Kyoto specifically is the cultural center of Japan, where the imperial court used to be, and where they have tons of festivals, beautiful architecture from hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and lots of temples and Buddhist and Shinto shrines. So it's you kind of see some of that reflected in Gold and Silver's design as well. Places like Violet City, for example, give the feeling of like Nara, which is the place where they have like the deer park, and they have like all kinds of temples. The buildings themselves look very Japanese, traditional Japanese architecture. And that's something I kind of wanted to capture in Johto Legends as well, that Japanese influence. So in addition to having orchestra, live soloists like violin, cello, flute, oboe, we're going to have some traditional Japanese instruments as well, like koto, some shakuhachi, and percussion that you'd hear in kabuki theater and no theater. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. When I was studying Fire Emblem Fates, that's the two types of music I was coming across for.
Oh, yeah.
Have you played Fire Emblem Fates?
I've watched my boyfriend play it a bit because he's a Fire Emblem fanatic, and I love how Hoshido has that kind of vibe, right? Yeah, and then Nor has like bagpipes.
Yeah,
they're going for quote unquote European.
Yeah, like as soon as I started playing, I was like, wow, this is like Asia, like East Asia versus Europe, and obviously like East Asia will overcome. I was like, wow. Well, that's when I was playing Hoshido, or rather Birthright, and when I was playing the other side, because I did play both of them. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And when I was thinking about the culture of, or rather the Pokemon thing, how they work with the styles of the region, I thought about that, like, oh, they did that in Fire Emblems, and I loved that, and that's why I studied the music of the Hoshido. So the fact that you're gonna get that, and the reason why I thought about all this is as soon as I read Ethnic Winds, I was like, okay, I think I know where this is going, and it's gonna get good.
Yeah. It's exactly the kind of stuff you would hear in Birthright and on the Hoshido side, and of course that kind of music dates back to a long time ago. So it's very old. The instruments very old, traditional, have a very unique sound, and they actually utilize a lot of that kind of instrumentation in Heart Gold and Soul Silver when they were able to use better sounding sound fonts than the Game Boy. So they actually have Japanese instruments on that soundtrack, which is pretty fun. They made a unique battle track for Ho-Oh, big giant bird, phoenix, turkey. Like in the originals, Ho-Oh didn't have a battle theme, and then in Heart Gold they gave Ho-Oh one, and it's so epic. It's like taiko drums everywhere, and lots of there's like they're called otsuzumi drums, I believe, where you kind of whack them and they make a sound like boom, 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 boom. And I don't know if that rings a bell.
Well, for me, it rings a bell. I don't know about for our listeners. Maybe it does.
Yeah. I know that track is very popular amongst Pokemon fans. So if you're excited to hear Japanese percussion, you're going to get it. You're definitely going to get it.
Oh, that's great. And I just want to double check. And are you planning on like arranging all the tracks just like the Kanto Symphony? It's just going to be this huge musical journey.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. Probably the same size as Kanto Symphony in length, and kind of with this overarching narrative that works its way through all of the tracks. So you're going to be embarking on a journey alongside the main character, who's going to be represented in the music through tracks like New Barktown and Route 22, the opening route theme, and then it's going to evolve into this epic journey as they battle gym leaders and start actually discovering the Johto region, going to places like Goldenrod City, the big metropolis, and then coming to more intriguing mystical parts of the region like Ekrutik, where you uncover the legends and the myths surrounding the Burned Tower and Entei, Raikou, Suicune, the legendary beast trio that kind of roam around as guardians of Johto. So there's going to be a mix of the trainer's journey and the discovery of Johto's magic, I guess.
Just the way you're describing it. And for you, Braxton, I'm going to listen to your album first before I play the game, because I want to get that ingrained into me, that narrative element, and then I'm gonna play it, and then I'm gonna go back to your music. It's I remember when this happened in the album, and when this happened.
That I can't imagine what that's like. Kind of going in reverse. That seems like it would be really cool, actually, to kind of get someone's secondhand interpretation of an interpretation, and then go back and then play it with all of that in mind. Maybe it enhances it or something. I know some people will go back and play Red and Blue and listen to the music while they play, just turn the game volume down, and then we'll play it on top of that, and it supposedly does wonders.
Therapeutic even?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, that's great. But yeah, I think that's all the questions I have about the album. You've already went in great detail on both, just explaining how you're going to go about doing this, and shown the passion that's going behind it. And because I backed both of your double team, and receiving the album.
Thank you, first of all.
And listening to that, I already know that this is going to be a great album, and I'm very excited for it, and it made me regret not backing the Kanto, because I was I should have backed it when I had the chance. But now I get the opportunity for Johto.
Yeah, exactly. Now you can jump onto the Gen 2 bandwagon and see what it's all about.
Yep. Well, with that said, and I guess one of my last questions I want to ask, and it might already be a given, but I still like to ask this question. If you have to choose one soundtrack, which one would be your most favorite?
Well, I feel like I sort of answered it with Johto, but I don't know. Is it clear enough that I like Johto? Did I mention I really like Johto? No, anyway. But I would say my second favorite would probably be the Black and White soundtrack, because I really enjoyed how cinematic it was, and how a lot of the tracks surrounding N's storyline throughout the game and Team Plasma is just dramatic and awesome. N's castle is fantastic. All of the battle themes associated with Team Plasma, even the grunt battle, is super catchy, really good. I really like Black and White. I would say it's my number 2 behind Johto.
Oh, that's actually really interesting, because Black and White 2's soundtrack is my favorite. So I got to hear Team Plasma's music as well, or they arranged stuff when they went from being Crusader type characters to these pirates or just the I guess
outlaws, sort of.
Wearing black, all covered with the face mask. But yeah, they're
so edgy.
Hardcore edgy. Yeah, we're the real
hardcore edgelords. Team Edgelord.
And from what you were saying, I definitely hear your favor with the end, or just N's theme in the music, because wasn't that one of your arrangements that you did for the double team, the N suite?
Yes, it was very self-indulgent, because I love N so much, and I was like, okay, we can't just do one of these themes. We have to do a medley, a suite of all of N's themes, because they're so good. Which is actually kind of a pain to license, because when you use multiple compositions in a cover song, you have to license each one, and that actually costs more for us to produce. But I don't care. It was totally worth it.
Absolutely. And I was going to also comment that, like, on the album, it was one of your best arrangements on there. And I was like, wow, you must really like this.
Just a little bit. It was really difficult trying to figure out how to arrange N's castle theme in a way that, because like in the game, it's like sounds like church organ plus, you know, dramatic Phantom of the Opera, scary, plus strings everywhere, and it's super epic choir, and like, how do I scale that down for strings and piano? And so hearing you say that, that's like, ooh, okay, I got it.
Dodged the bullet on that one.
Mm.
Oh, but no, that's great. But like I said, that's really all the questions I have, and I'm really excited for this project. I thank you for coming on the show and talking about your album. So thank you again, Braxton.
Hey, thank you, Marcos. And for anyone wanting to support us, just look up Johto Legends on Kickstarter. And if you want to follow us, we're on Twitter, Pokemon Reorchestrated. You can just search it. And then we're also Pokemon Reorchestrated on Facebook.
Yeah, for the full name is Johto Legends, music from Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Silver, just to make sure that you get to the right thing and not anything else.
Yes.
But yeah, you can find it on there. And other than that, that's it. So,
that's all, folks.
So thank you so much for listening in, and we appreciate your time, and we just hope that you enjoyed this Rhythm and Calendar episode. And again, I want to wish Braxton a thank you for coming on the show. And again, I would say if you really like the podcast, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Rate even if you wish. Possibly review nicely. But that's up to you on iTunes. But if anything that you get out of this is that you soak up this enthusiasm from Braxton Burks' project over here, because you're gonna find that passion in the album, and that's something worth investing in. Now, am I telling you to? No, I'm not forcing you or telling you this. I'm just saying I like it, and this is something that I'm hoping gets back. So it may just be biased. Do what you want. But it's very good to get this information. I want to get across to every one of you out there, in case that you are having second thoughts, and hopefully that helps clear any confusion. So again,
yep, we only have about a week left, and I don't know when this is going up, so it might even be less. So yeah, I appreciate the plugging, and I'm glad you share this enthusiasm for the project as well. Go back at people.
Thank you again, everyone, and have a great day.